us right now. A great pleasure to welcome the author of a very interesting new book. It's called The Betrayal, American Prosperity. We're joined now by Clyde Prestowitz, who has really laid out a very good case of maybe how we can solve our economic problems. He joined us today by telephone. And Clyde, thanks for being with us. How are you?
It's my pleasure. I'm fine, thank you.
Read through the book, very interested in what you talk about in there. I guess it's a complicated topic writing about the economy, but you kind of talk about how America originally became such an economic leader, and we've gotten away from that, haven't we?
Well, we have. It's very interesting, actually. Right now, of course, there's a lot of criticism of China in the U.S., but really from about 1800 until about 1950, we acted pretty much like China does today. We had a strategy. We were focused on overtaking the Brits in industry and technology. We protected our markets. We had high tariffs. We had very close cooperation between industry and government. We had a very activist government, the Homestead Act that opened the West and built the transcontinental railroads, and all the efforts to foster and build the aviation industry. So we had a very strategic approach, and we wound up at the end of World War II as top dog in almost everything. Interestingly, since that time, we have adopted a very different policy. We've become the world hegemon, so we devote most of our energy to geopolitics instead of geoeconomics. And we've also adopted the doctrine of laissez-faire free trade, kind of unilateral free trade. We'll keep our markets open, and we don't care about the value of the dollar. It doesn't matter what other countries do. We've kind of had a philosophy that we don't care what we make. So, for example, one leading economist once made the comment, potato chips, computer chips, what's the difference? They're all chips. One former head of the Council of Economic Advisors once told me in the 1980s when I was negotiating with Japan, he said, well, why do you worry about Japan, Clyde? He says, they'll ship us Toyotas and we'll send them poetry. As if Toyotas and poetry had the same job-creating impact. And so as a result of that, we've gotten ourselves in a deep hole where we have a huge trade deficit. We import computers from China. We think of ourselves as a high-tech country, but we import computers from China, and our biggest export to China is waste paper and scrap metal. And that's not, kind of where I think we want our kids and grandchildren to go. So we need a different game plan.
Yeah, there's something to be said about protecting your own products. Like you said, the tariffs that we put on back in starting in the 1800s till about the mid-1950s, that was to protect American products that we made, right? Otherwise, other companies could dump a lot of cheap products on us.
We were a developing country. We believed in infant industry development, and as I said, we acted pretty much like China does today. But my view is that we don't have to protect our industry, but what we do need to do is to respond to the strategic policies of our trading partners. So, when our trading partners are intervening in currency markets to distort or to artificially raise the value of the dollar, we need to respond. We haven't been doing that. We should. When our trading partners offer very aggressive financial packages, no taxes, free land, capital grants, to companies if they will move their production to that country, we need to respond. We need to have a similar kind of package. We don't have that yet. Our corporate taxes are the highest in the world except for Japan. Other countries, Singapore, Ireland, they're all at 20%. Corporate tax, we're at 36%. So, we need to get competitive. So, to me, the steps that need to be taken are pretty obvious and not that difficult to do. The difficult thing is that we have to change the philosophy. The mindset that potato chips and computer chips are the same thing. The notion that we don't care about economics because we're gonna move troops and tanks around the world and the economy will take care of itself. No, it won't. And so it's the mindset that needs to change.
And America has become, unfortunately, more of a service economy than an industrial economy. The cars pretty much are built outside the U.S. now. There are some exceptions, but the big products are made outside of the U.S. now. How are you going to get them back? That's the problem, isn't it?
Well, that's my point. If the exchange rates reflect true value, right now the dollar is overvalued versus most of the Asian currencies by 30-40%. So that means that everything that we sell in Asia costs 30% more than it should. Everything that we buy costs 30% less than it should. Well, if you readjust that exchange rate, production in the U.S. suddenly becomes more attractive in many areas. If you have the same kind of investment package and the same kind of corporate taxes that other countries are offering, then production in the U.S. becomes much more attractive.
You talk in the book about different types of taxation, the value-added tax, reverse income tax.
Yeah, right. Well, I kind of like the reverse income tax because it would be simple. You keep track of what you spend and you pay taxes on that. So the more you spend, the more taxes you pay. I think a lot of people would save under that kind of regime, and then the U.S. would have high savings and we'd be able to finance ourselves instead of borrowing from China and Japan and the oil producers. But it's probably a heroic idea. I think the more practical idea is a value-added tax, which is kind of like a sales tax, but it's rebated on export. And most countries have it. So most of the countries we're dealing with, when their products are shipped to us, they get a 20% rebate of the value-added tax from their government, and so the product comes in here 20% cheaper than it is sold in that country. When our products hit those shores, they're hit with a 20% tax, which is kind of like a tariff. So I'd like to even that out and have our own value-added tax.
Clyde, should Americans be worried about China, or should we embrace them as a trading partner?
Well, I think Americans should recognize China as a competitor and a collaborator. They're both. And I think that what we should worry about is America. I think that our problems are not so much with China as they are with ourselves. And again, I come back to this importance to change our mindset. I mean, as long as our economists are teaching our students that poetry and automobiles are the same thing, we have a problem. And that's our problem. It's not a Chinese problem.
It's a fascinating book, and you really lay it out for the layman to understand. I understood it, so that's pretty good. The Betrayal of American Prosperity is the name of it. Clyde, do you have a website you want to direct people to?
ClydePrestowitz.com.
Which is just Prestowitz.
Prestowitz, right.
Great. Well, it's been a pleasure to talk to you, Clyde. We look forward to doing it again down the road, and thanks for being with us today.